I will introduce the guest today. Sorry, I just wanted to make quick clarification. Someone is asking me if they need to be members. It's welcome to members and non-members, so please stick around if you're a guest and you're wondering if you should go, please stick around. Today's guest is a wonderful lady. I met her on Facebook. She has wonderful products and which were helpful to me, and I thought she should just come and share. Her name is Rukevwe. I can't pronounce her full name, so please, Rukevwe, when you come in, just tell us your full name. Rukevwe is an NGO growth expert and peace building practitioner with over 10 years experience in social enterprise development, performance management, and peace building. She is the founder of Smartegic Outcomes, a coaching and consulting practice where she works with mission-driven nonprofits, helping them build strategic systems to attract funding and partnership opportunities to deliver impact through her signature framework, the Grants Attraction System. Rukevwe envisions a world where every investment in the development of our communities delivers the best outcomes possible so that citizens everywhere can live in safe, stable, and thriving communities to fulfill their life aspirations, which aspires her to strive for excellence through her work. She's Nigerian, living in the oil-rich Niger Delta region, a mother and compassionate friend. Welcome, Rukevwe. Rukevwe, you're now welcome to give your presentation.
Unfortunately, we can't hear you, Rukevwe.
We cannot hear you. Sorry, Rukevwe. We can't hear you.
How about now? Can you all hear me?
Now we can hear you.
All right. So we know the problem with Nigeria. We have problem of electricity. So my generator is on and it might interfere with the sound. So thank you very much, Mukami, for the invitation to come here to share my thoughts with you. Thank you, Mr. President, for having me. My name is Rukevwe Uvietesivwi, and like she said, you can call me Rukevwe for short. And it's my pleasure to really share my thoughts around grant readiness today. So I'll just quickly share my screen, and I hope you can confirm from your end that you can see my slides.
We can. Right. Yes, we can.
Here, as passionate people, one of the things that drives us is our desire to bring about impact and transformation to our communities, irrespective of the interest, whether we're interested in ensuring that vulnerable children have access to education or vulnerable women have access to livelihood options in underserved communities. Now, one of the things that binds us together is the resources that we need to be able to deliver impact through our work. And I must commend the work of the Rotary Club globally. You're doing amazing work, and it's an honor to be here to share my thoughts with you tonight. Now, there are 3 learning outcomes that I'll be sharing with us. It is my intention that at the end of the short session, we'll be able to have some level of awareness around strategies to become grant ready, whether as an organization, as Rotary in your district, or maybe you have personal initiatives that you run. You want to float your own nonprofit, or you already have a nonprofit organization. Now, one of the things that I expect that we will be taking home tonight is that you're going to have the understanding of critical steps to make your organization grant ready. And this is what I've been doing in the last 10 years, like she said in her introduction, helping nonprofit ensure that they have the right systems that makes them grant ready, that makes them able to leverage on funding opportunities, especially from institutional donors. Now, the second learning outcome is your awareness to understand the strategies that you need to build your credibility and also improve on your grant worthiness. 1 minute, please. Sorry about that. My kids were trying to interrupt my session. So, and also we'll be able to have insights on grant writing. How do we develop proposals that are bankable, proposals that actually make us access the funding opportunities that we need to implement our project? Now, I don't know if you have this misconception in your community, but some of the nonprofits I work with here in Nigeria, we have this assumption that grant is actually free money. This is money that you receive to implement your project and you don't have to pay back. Now, in as much as this is a funding that you do not necessarily have to pay back, the investor, which are the institutional donors, actually expect some form of return on investment. And this is what I call social profits. Now, they may not be expecting you to maybe increase the $50,000 or the $100,000 to much more money, but they expect that that money at the end of that intervention would lead to some form of improvement in the socio-economic or political conditions of the community that you serve. Now, this is an investment that will definitely need to bring about a return for the communities that you serve and also for the funders. This is about being investment ready. And now, what does it mean to be grant ready? What does it mean to put in all of the structures that you need in your organization to become eligible to access these opportunities? Now, from my own perspective, from where I stand, grant readiness is about ensuring that your organization is structured, you have the component parts, you also have the necessary criteria that makes you eligible to access these opportunities. Now, for some of you that may have explored available opportunities online, because now in the digital space, we have access to a whole lot of opportunities, and there are platforms where you can easily get information on open funding opportunities. Now, if you look closely at some of these notifications, you will find specific eligibility criteria that is specifically being required by the donor before you can leverage on those opportunities. But tonight, because the time is very short, this is actually a session that I deliver in 1 to 2 hours, but because of the time, I'll just hit some really critical points that you need to understand tonight. And we're looking at grant readiness from 3 main perspectives. We're looking at 3 major perspectives of grant readiness, and the very perspective that we're going to be looking at is program effectiveness. Now, these institutional donors actually support programs that are results oriented, meaning you need to structure your initiative in a way that it reflects the value of what you're bringing to your communities. Now, one thing I always share with participants in my programs or clients that I've been working with over the years is to say that your nonprofit, your organization, it's in existence because of a problem. It's in existence because of a need. Now, if you cannot build a linkage between what you intend to do and the need or the critical problems in the community, then there's a misnomer. So your organization, your programs, your initiative are intended to improve on the situation in the community, improving on conditions, and this must be aligned with the global goals. Now, as stakeholders globally, we are all working and putting our effort to ensure that we're delivering on the SDGs, on the Sustainable Development Goals. Like for me, my core program area is Goal 16, which is ensuring that we have stronger institutions, we have justice, and there's peace in our communities. So you must be able to align your work with a component of the SDG, first of all, and ensure that your project or the idea that you have is actually intended to create sustainable outcomes. what needs to change in the communities. Now, over the years, I've seen a lot of ideas, concept notes put together by non-profits, especially startup. And I'm wondering what is the idea or what is the intention behind that particular concept, because there's no direct linkage on how that idea is going to be creating results or creating a shift in the communities that they hope to serve. So one thing that you need to pay attention to critically to become grant ready, to ensure that you can access and leverage on the available funding opportunities, especially when you want to work with institutional donors like the different embassies, USAID or UKAID, you must ensure that your programs are structured in a way that it demonstrates effectiveness. You're seeing clear outcomes and you're contributing to well-defined impact pockets. Now, the second perspective from I'll be sharing this evening, it's actually in line with organizational capacity. Now, as a funder, all of this is intended for you to see your work from the eyes of a donor or from the eyes of an investor. So if an investor is putting in money somewhere, the investor needs to be confident and very sure that that funding is secured. So the grant, like I mentioned earlier, it's not free money that people throw about, but it's actually an investment that is deliberately put into your programs in order for them to get a return, which is social profit. So for that to happen, for that decision to happen so that your organization will be selected to have that funding, you need to demonstrate capacity. You need to be able to show to the donor or to your intending funder that as an organization, as a corporate entity, or even as an individual intending to create change in your community, you have the technical expertise and you have the experience to actually deliver programming in the area of interest. So let's say, for instance, you're very interested in creating improved livelihood options for women in rural and underserved community. Now, the question that the donor, the funder, is going to be asking while reviewing maybe your proposal or your request for funding is to say, does this organization have the technical capacity to design this intervention and actually really develop it and actually deploy the project in communities? Now, there's a difference between when you are able to articulate a brilliant idea into a proposal to a funder, and it's a different ballgame entirely when you will be able to demonstrate competence to the donor. So while preparing to be grant ready, while preparing to explore funding opportunities out there, one thing to bear in mind is that you should articulate your technical expertise in a way that it demonstrates credibility to the funder and to the donor. Because before any investment decision is taken, there needs to be that level of confidence from the side of the donor to be very sure that that funding is secured and it's going to be delivering the results and the impact intended. Because at the end of the day, it's all about how you are able to create a shift in the conditions of the community you're serving. So even if you're interested in environmental protection, what results clearly, specifically do you intend to contribute to in that community? You're interested in health. What is going to shift? Are you focusing on behavioral changes in practices in communities, or you're looking at systemic changes? Now that needs to show clearly in your ability to articulate your competence over the years as an organization, or even as the individual team members in that organization, because organizations are actually a collection of people. And now the second perspective to organizational effectiveness is your operational structures and systems. Now, one thing that gives credibility to your work or to your organization is when you are able to show that the organization is well structured, especially in the time when you are exploring funding opportunities. Now, we have a lot of nonprofits because the idea is you're passionate about a particular issue in your community, and that may drive you to create an initiative. Sometimes these things are done informally, but if you remain at that level of operations without building and integrating the administrative structures or the operational structures needed for growth, you will not be able to access all of these opportunities. Now, I'll refer us back to when I mentioned earlier the eligibility criteria that have been preset by donors. Now, when you look at the call for funding opportunities, some of you may have been able to explore some of those opportunities or attempt to write grant proposals before. You'd see clearly that most times the donor is asking for some evidence to show that your organization is structured. Your organization have the supporting systems that gives them the confidence that your funding investments will be secured. That's where you hear the donor talking about HR, human resource policies, gender policies, or financial policies or protection. Now, this is really very essential because beyond your intention or your desire to leverage on funding opportunities, these structures are necessary for your sustainability. Even if we're looking at it from a business point of view, there's a level of growth. Your growth as an organization will be stunted if you don't have these operating systems in place. So exploring the funding opportunities, you see in the call for proposal, the donor is asking you for 4 years audited financial statements. And as a startup, maybe you don't even have any form of financial system in place that helps you track maybe your cash inflows and outflows. Maybe it's an informal organization where people with like minds come together because they are passionate about a common issue in their community. Maybe they see there's a rising level of poverty in the local community, and friends just come together to say, we need to pull up our funds, pull up our ideas together and see how we can mitigate poverty in our local community. While that is good, you will not be able to demonstrate to the donor how much you have been spending in your organization to deliver the results that you claim to have delivered. Because all of these things we talk about at the end of the day must be demonstrated through evidence. And that's where the operational systems come into place. You're telling your donor that you have a team of staff governed by policies. You want to show that you have a functional board, you have a constitution that is guiding decision-making in your organization, you have HR policies, you have basic financial systems that protects the funding, even from internal funding that are generated internally or funding from external stakeholders. All of these component parts or all of these documents and criteria that have been preset by the donor is not actually intended to exclude a certain set of organizations from this funding opportunity, but it's intended to ensure that the funding being invested in your project or in your program by the donor, it's secure at the end of the day. Now, every donor has a mission to advance. They have strategic priorities of interest. Let's say they have an overseas policy that they want to strengthen democratic governance in developing countries, in third world countries, or in the global south. So they may have pockets of funding available yearly. Maybe they've earmarked $10 million to strengthen democratic systems across developing countries, especially in Africa. Now they have a mission to advance. And for that vision, or for that mission to be executed, and for those strategic priorities or objectives to be achieved, then they need to ensure that they are very critical about the projects and the interventions that are funding. So sometimes we just need to flip things to the other side and try to put our shoes, try to empathize with the funder, try to empathize with the donor to say, if I was going to fund this activity, what will I be looking at? Or what criteria, would I need to see to be confident to make that funding decision a yes? So it is very important for us to see things from the lenses of a funder in order for us to make very objective decisions to grow our organization and to ensure that we're putting in the structures that are needed to ensure that we're demonstrating credibility, because all of this at the end of the day helps us strengthen our credibility and our goodwill as an organization. And the third part of the organizational capacity that you should focus on is valuable partnerships. Now, every donor or every investor wants to know, who are they partnering with? Who are you partnering with? Who is putting money into your work? And this clearly shows when they request for maybe referrals. They want to see referral letters from organizations that have funded you before. All of these things brings us back to that point of credibility. You've been able to structure your organization in a way that you are showing, you are communicating that you are a safe funding destination for partners. Who are you partnering with? So at your startup phase, you want to ensure that you are initiating valuable relationships with credible organizations. Now, sometimes you may not want to focus on the monetary part of the partnerships. You want to initiate relationships with these organizations to just participate maybe in your events or in your activities. There's a client I'm currently working with around the environmental sector, and they have valuable relationships with different embassies here in Nigeria and different embassies across the ECOWAS region. Now, these institutions have not necessarily put in funding into that organization, but what they have done is to strengthen the credibility of my client's organization by partnering, saying the yes, participating in the events, saying that their logos are showing in their communication material to this organization. But my client is able to strengthen their credibility, build trust, and even attract funding opportunities from other organizations. So that is what you want to focus on at your startup phase, to build credibility through your technical expertise, through your operational structures, and through the valuable relationships and partnerships that you are forging over time in your startup phase. Then critically, we are in a digital age. That means life is becoming borderless. I'm here sitting in my home in Warri in the Niger Delta region of Nigeria, and I'm having a conversation with amazing people in Kenya. That shows you that we don't have borders anymore. And that is made possible because of social media. I met Mukami through Facebook. If I was sitting at home without the access to that platform for connectivity, I'm sure I may not have met her or even speaking in this event today to these amazing people. So how are you leveraging on these platforms to grow your visibility? It is really very critical for you as an organization. The nonprofit sector thrives on goodwill. Your ability to attract opportunities, attract support will ride on the back of your ability to demonstrate credibility, your ability to get goodwill. Now, for your impact visibility, you need to lavishly tell the story of your impact work. You need to ensure that you are articulating effectively and documenting your achievements, no matter how little. You provided access to education for 10 children in a rural community. Tell the story lavishly across your social media handles. This is not a time where you can afford to joke with your social media presence, because that is a cheap and a very easy platform for people to find you. Now, earlier today, Nigerian time 10 a.m., I had the privilege of hosting one of the largest funders, indigenous funders in Africa, ACT Foundation. ACT Foundation is actually owned by Access Bank. And this is a funding organization that is supporting nonprofit work around health, around environment, and entrepreneurship and education. I had the privilege of hosting them in a 1 hour, 30-minute session where they came to talk to people, my community members, on grant readiness, this same conversation we're having. And I just wanted my community members to hear it from a donor's mouth. So it should not be that it's another nonprofit leader or it's a consultant that is talking to us, but this is the person with the money to invest, telling you this is what I look out for before I say a yes. This is what I want to see in an organization that will make me put my dollar in that organization. And one thing that came out strongly from that funder is saying that before they progress on reviewing any proposal, they go to check online to see the footprints, the online footprints of that organization. What communication is this organization putting out? What are they saying? What is their messaging all about? What stories are they telling about their work? Now, we may look at it that, oh, it's social media, it's for us to make friends, it's for us to share photographs and all that. Now, the dynamics have changed, and your social media handle, it's your mirror to the world to tell the stories of the amazing work that you are doing, for you to strengthen your credibility, and for you to also have that goodwill that will make people open up their wallets to give to your cause. So you need to ensure that you're articulating and documenting your achievements. You're putting your impact story out there. How are you creating a shift in the conditions of the communities you serve? Now, you may see that you're just in one small community doing the little work you can, but people who are even doing much more less than the impact you are creating, they are getting support because they are able to tell their stories effectively. They are able to make connections with the right platforms to grow their visibility. So you need to become very, very deliberate and intentional about your online presence. And I know even before they obliged my invitation and decided to partner with me, they had checked up on me online to see what is Rukevwe to talk, what is she saying in her LinkedIn profile, what is she saying on Facebook, what videos is she putting up on YouTube, before they decided to even associate with my brand. So it is the cheapest and the fastest way to get your message out there for you to build credibility around your work. No matter how small you think the change or the work you're doing, it's amazing work, and you need to lavishly tell that story. And that's one critical part of my signature framework that I use to work with my clients. And I'll just lastly, before I close out on this, on my presentation this evening, I'll just be sharing 3 strategies for you, or 3 critical steps that you can use to scale your impact, especially when you are in your startup phase, because we know as a startup, you have a lot of challenges, you have limited funding, you have a lot of problems you want to deal with, there is no money to pay staff and all of that. So how can you begin to build all of these structures that are actually needed to leverage on this funding opportunities that are available in your startup phase? Now, the very first thing that I will share with you tonight is that you should optimize your work. Now, your self-funded phase, which is the phase where you're using money for maybe your personal business, your personal income, or you're having just friends and families, just putting $10, $20, $1 to the work you're doing. You need to optimize that stage to build credibility and operational systems. What am I saying? Now, start with what you have. You may not have the resources to buy the softwares and the platforms that you need for your financial system and all of that, but just being deliberate about ensuring that you're keeping records of your expenses. You're deliberate about tracking how much money is coming even from your personal pocket, because I have a lot of clients that tell me, I've been investing my personal money in my project, so why do I need to keep track of how much I'm investing and all of that? You are trying to tell the donor that you have been funding this particular intervention in the last 3 years. You're telling a donor that you have spent $5,000 in the last 5 years of your personal income. What the donor wants to see is paper, evidence to show what are the cost drivers and what drives the cost for this particular project. Where has the money been entering? And you're coming with the assumption that because you're self-funded, you've not been keeping track of what you've been spending, or the little $10, $1 that your friends, community members, colleagues in the office are putting into your work. So even if it's 1 cent that your sibling invests in your noble cause, you need to ensure that it is documented. You need to ensure that whatever you're spending money on, it's well documented. You have supporting evidence to show what that money went for. If you're buying light refreshment for just the kids in your community that you're trying to mentor to ensure that they're building their self-confidence and having better aspirations so that they can leverage and get better life options than their parents, you need to have a receipt to show for that. At the end of the year, you need to have all of this well articulated and get them audited, because the donor would ask you for your financial report. So you become deliberate. Give yourself milestones. In the next 12 months, I want to be able to get my first grant of a minimum of $5,000. What do I need to do? I want to encourage us to become more very deliberate about the work with you. If you want to grow your passion, to ensure that it becomes an institution, it becomes a legacy, then you need to put in the work that is needed to have that level of growth. Then the second thing, importantly, is for you to be deliberate about the funding organizations you want to approach. Not every donor is interested in what you're doing. You're interested in women. Not all funders are interested in women empowerment. So you need to research the organizations that are supporting programs that are in alignment with your organization's mission. You need to become very strategic. Instead of sending a proposal, I heard one of the officers talking about a tree planting project. So you have a tree planting project in line with ensuring you're promoting the sustainability of the environment and environmental protection. Then you are sending that proposal to an organization funding programs around cancer. I mean, for goodness sake, nobody is going to look at that proposal because there's a misalignment. So not every donor is your ideal donor. There are donors that do not fund startups. They only fund large international agencies from $1 million and above. So you have no business sending a proposal to that kind of organization. But there are specific organizations like the funder that I hosted in the earlier hours of today, ACT Foundation, supports small nonprofits. I was even surprised when they mentioned that they even support nonprofits that don't even have an office. As long as you can show credibility for the little that you have done, and you're showing the potential that you are teachable, and you would be able to work with them to ensure that you're putting the needed structures in place, alongside with implementing their project, they're willing to fund you. This is a funder that invests in small profits across Africa. They're not interested in the big names, but small organizations solving local problems through local solutions in local communities. So find your ideal donor, research the organizations that are supporting programs that are in alignment with yours. You need to study their strategic priorities to ensure that there is that linkage. You're working around community health, look for donors that are supporting work around what you do, because you'll be able to focus your energy, you'll be able to focus your resources that are very limited in leveraging on the opportunities that are really the right fit for you. Then most importantly, you need to strengthen your grant proposal writing skills. You need to develop grant writing skills and actively submit quality proposals to these donors. Nobody will come to you in your closet and say, I want to fund you. You must put the word out there. You must strengthen your online footprints. You must ensure that you are actively engaging with funders who are funding programs around you, and you are communicating the value of that change you want to bring to your communities through your grant proposals. And it forms the core of one of the programs I do. I'm currently running a 5-week programs for leaders. I think I have a couple of people in that program. Mukami here is in that program. 10 sessions to write grant proposals, and we've actually completed 2 of those sessions. And the intention is to ensure that they have the competence, they have the capacity, they have the skill to develop proposals that are bankable. So thank you very much. I've just shared little thoughts with you to just put you in the right direction for you to become grant ready and leverage on available opportunities that are out there. So thank you, Mukami, for the invitation. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, everybody, for hanging in this call.
Thank you so much, Ruki. That was a fantastic presentation. You're a great orator. I don't know that you've ever thought of becoming a motivational speaker. I think you can do a good job there.
Really? I'll think about that.
That was fantastic. And with a lot of good content, we've learned a lot within such a short time. I will now open the floor to some questions from the club members. Members, any question or comment? I can see already there are comments coming in. Jackson, all the way from the US, saying, wow, great insights there, Rookie, well done. I can see Tamara, fantastic presentation. Margaret, whoa, great speaker. So members are really, really excited about the presentation. Is there anybody with a burning question or a comment that they'd like to make?
Mr. President.
You can just unmute yourself. Yes, go for it.
I want to once more appreciate Rookie for the great input and her selflessness in sharing her well-researched and articulate presentation with us. We realize that Rotary is a kind of a non-profit that goes beyond the call of duty to meet community needs. And it brings different professions in place. However, the orientation in a formal NGO would be more focused on developing grants and, you know, all these organization strengthening and focusing on particular goals, having the correct technical expertise because they focus on a certain thematic area. So help us think through how can we develop ourselves as a voluntary organization, a confluence of volunteers who come to give their time, treasure, and make friendships as we also make an impact in the society. From your perspective, how can you help us grow body? In fact, to focus our strengths, to grow ourselves as that institution. Yeah, because we are spread out through the Rotary themes, and we do not operate per se as an NGO, you know, focused on social impact with very articulate books and systems. We have a lot of dynamism in Rotary, but grants will be here with us today, tomorrow, and many days to come.
Okay. So I understand the difference between a traditional NGO and the Rotary, but I also want you to think of how you can integrate some of the systems that we work with in a traditional NGO into what you do. I don't really know how the Rotary is structured, maybe your small units. Do you have some level of independence that you can do your own thing independently? Do you have some level of autonomy, your small unit?
Yes.
Okay.
Prezo, you can respond to that.
All right. So as a unit, you can really have a conversation amongst yourself on what you really want to focus on. The SDGs are broad, 17 goals with so many targets. You as an entity in your community, you cannot focus on all of the goals. So you need to reflect based on your members. Think of 2 or 3 key areas that you want to focus on. And while reflecting on that, I'll just share 3 guidelines that you can consider when trying to narrow in on what to focus on. I was sharing earlier in my class today. Niching. So you want to consider what you as a community, what drives you, what problems really gives you sleepless nights. Someone spoke about tree planting. Is that something that everyone is connected with? Everybody is interested about the environment. I'm talking of your specific unit now. You need to reflect on your convictions, what you want to focus on. Then you also need to reflect on the capacities that you have amongst your members. You may have doctors, you have lawyers, you have a whole lot of people. Then think, what really is our strength in terms of number, in terms of expertise, in terms of competence? If we do not require something that will not require us maybe spending money on external consultants, something that we can really leverage on the internal expertise that is already available in your community. And also you want to consider the relevance of what you want to do in your immediate community. So let's say you're in your immediate community and you're interested in the environment. That problem, is it really relevant to the burning issues in your community? It may be that community members are being ravaged by poverty. You cannot tell a family that hasn't had breakfast that you want them to plant trees. I don't know if you understand that. So it has to be socially relevant. If you're interested in entrepreneurship, for instance, and the most pressing problem in that community are health issues, you need someone who is healthy, who is mentally stable to be able to grow businesses. So you need to create that balance between what you're interested in, your convictions and your motivations. Balance that with the technical expertise you have in-house as members and the issues that are of relevance and priority to the communities you want to serve. When you do that ranking, you'll be able to find about 2 to 3 areas that you can focus on. Then, in terms of policy or operational structures, I want to ask if your particular unit, do you have like a separate incorporation, or is just Rotary? You don't have a separate registration status per se?
We do. We are subdivided into different clubs, and each club has its own unique identity and unique focus. So what you're sharing can actually apply.
Beautiful. So policies don't have to be complex. I always share with my clients that you don't need to develop a 100-page policy that you will not implement. What is our policy around handling our money? What is our policies are just things that guide your decision making. If we want to procure the services of, we want to get a venue, we want to get a hotel, what are the 4 to 5 steps that we need to go through in order for us to get that venue? You can just put simple things like, okay, we need to get 2 or 3 quotations or price lists from the vendors. We'll compare price, we'll compare their payment terms. 3 of the officers will sit on it, make a decision before the purchase is done, and the money is paid directly to the vendor. That's just 5 steps. That's your procurement policy. So it doesn't have to be one robust, complex document that people cannot interpret. Policies are what guide our daily decision-making, daily operations. So just have a simple thing, policy for procurement, policy for our financial retirement. It can be 2 pages, 3 pages for each of these components. Now, one thing that you would write on the back of volunteering. So you might not necessarily say, oh, our club, we have staff. So just the members are the manpower, the foot soldiers are going to implement this project. You may want to have policies around hotel rates. Maybe you need to travel for implementation and all of that. So you have these simple systems that just guides actions and behaviors in place. Little simple systems in place. Ensure that the books are kept. We can account for the monies that members are contributing. We can account for how much we're spending. And you are implementing projects from a systemic point of view. That's an entire conversation, different conversation on its own. You are implementing projects that are results focused. Ensure that you have your online presence as a unit on your own. You're growing that visibility. Then you can begin to look for small funding. I want to assume that Rotary gives grants too, right? So you can begin to leverage on those internal opportunities rather than looking for a funder outside. You already have a system with available opportunities. You come up with high quality proposals of interventions you want to do. You're selling the stories of the little progress that you have made internally, the shifts you're making in the communities, how you're creating impact, and you're going to get the money internally from your own organization. So you can begin to do things differently, bring a different approach to your club. All right.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ruki.
Thank you so much, Ruki, for that great session. Now, members, because of time, I know we would like this conversation, Ruki, for sure is a conversation that is going to continue. Yes. And I hope you're going to get your contacts so that you can be able to engage with you.
That in the comments. Leave that in that area. 2, 3, 4.
Fantastic. That will be great so that members can actually be able to continue engaging with you. And
so that's the number.
Okay.
I'll just drop my email.
Okay.
And social media handles. And you can find me on all the platforms with Rukevwe Uvietesivwi. That's the spelling. Be careful with the spelling. So you can just send me a WhatsApp message. I have a group of other leaders across the platforms on WhatsApp and on Telegram. I'm trying to grow a social community. So you can just send me a message, I'll add you. So when we have the open learning opportunities or other premium programs, you get notified.
That will be fantastic. I truly appreciate. In the interest of time, I'm going to call up our PE to give us a vote of thanks for this amazing presentation. PE Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. President. Last week, you promised us a very exciting and fiery presentation. I must say that was an understatement. Ruki, you've been amazing. And let me just say, usually we allow most of our guests around 20 minutes. So for you to have exceeded 20, 30 minutes and we are still prepared to listen to you the whole night, it means you bring with you something special. And this one we have to appreciate. Mokami, by extension, thank you so much. Mokami, still keep on being on Facebook so that you meet more rookies to come and share with us. Now, Ruki, let me start by saying this. I'm a student of one of your greatest novelists, that is Chinua Achebe. And one of his famous sayings, he said, when wise people speak, it is not because of the sweetness of words in their mouths. It is because they see something which others do not see. Now, if I relate that saying by Chinua Achebe to what you have said, I must say you have spoken like 3 wise men. Today, you have really challenged us. You have taught us, you have tutored us, you have mentored us. And let me say this presentation comes at a very timely, a point in our Rotary calendar, because we are currently pursuing a several number of grants. Okay. We're in the process of negotiating, doing the proposals, and you could not have come at a more timely time. We are going to definitely interrogate, implement, and adopt what you have taught us. Clearly, you've given us very simple. My take home today is 2 things. We have to be deliberate, we have to be intentional, and we have to populate. We have to blow our trumpet because nobody's gonna know what we're doing. And I believe the grant team is here, the projects team is here, the foundation team is here. Our administration team is here. Our PR team is here. The gentleman who handles our Facebook and social media handle is here. These are things we're going to start implementing right away. So we want to thank you so much, Ruki, for taking your time. I don't know what time it is in Nigeria. Here it is, how much, what time?
It's 6 p.m. here.
Okay, thank you for taking time off your very, very busy schedule. I can assure you the program you're running, now you've been having only Mukami. After tonight, you're going to have several of us joining that program, the platform. And we welcome you. We welcome you. Don't get tired of us. We'll be reaching out to you for advice. We'll be reaching out to you for. Yes. And we'd like to give you an open invitation to the Rotary Club of Nairobi Gigiri. It is also called the Poshiest Club in town. And someone as posh as you should be a member of our club. We'll make sure you look like. Yes. So you're always welcome to fellowship with us every Thursday at the same time. Keep on having the linkages through Mukami. And God bless you and God bless the work of your hand. And welcome to fellowship with us once again. Thank you.
I'll try my best. Thank you for having me. Thank you, my friend Mukami. I really enjoyed myself. Thank you. Well appreciated.
Asante sana.
Thank you so much.